Good morning, this is Gene Fay with 9 Technology. Welcome to 9 Technology TV.
And I'm Adam Sell, also with 9 Technology. Glad to see you.
Oh, fantastic. Hey Adam, I was looking at the Wall Street Journal yesterday and I pointed out that article about Microsoft and how the Internet Explorer team had this whole idea about making privacy front and center to the product.
I saw that article. I found it interesting that the conspiracy theories aren't all wrong in this case, that the privacy team kind of got shouted down when it came to the decision of whether or not to put the tracking software that Internet Explorer allows to be put onto users' computers. They let that go. So it was interesting to see that there was a lot of competition between the two groups, the privacy group and the advertising group within Microsoft, to decide who was going to get the supremacy in this product.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that aren't familiar with the story, this is actually something that was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, and it was a conversation that went all the way up to Steve Ballmer, the CEO of Microsoft. And basically, the Internet Explorer team, in my opinion, was trying to do the right thing for the customer. Make it easy for non-technical people to understand how to turn on and off cookies, which ultimately track your usage on any site. And you had the advertising team and a group that Microsoft spent about $6 billion to acquire, saying, hey, if we make this too easy for people to turn off cookies, we're not going to be able to track. And if we can't track, then we can't necessarily justify the advertising fees. And I think that's kind of an interesting discussion, especially when it comes down to people understanding the amount of information that's tracked. Google basically can track everything we do online. And the reality is that when most people don't realize the power of a cookie and the fact that every time you visit a site after the first time, they can know who you are. And then if you fill out a form, they not only know who you are, they know specifically who you are, not just as an IP address, but they have all your information. And it was really, I think, as much as people kind of look at Microsoft and say it's a big bad brother, I think that there was one team within Microsoft really looking out for end users and trying to differentiate themselves by making it much easier for people to do that. And yet the advertising team, ultimately the money side of the business, kind of won out. So unfortunately, cookies are kind of buried to the bottom. When we talk about our product, security is really front and center to everything we do when it comes to encryption and when it comes to single sign-on and the ability to protect customers' data. And I think that it would be an interesting debate if we had to trade off those types of security capabilities versus that a way to generate revenue within the company.
Absolutely. And one point from the article that I found interesting was that only one of the major browsers out there puts kind of private browsing as their default setting, that you don't have to go in and change it, and that was Apple's Safari. And I kind of wish more businesses were run that way, that they let you be yourself first and only decide after the fact if you want to opt into the tracking software that will let a WallStreetJournal.com know who you are when you visit and give you what you want.
Absolutely. And I mean, Facebook is another good example of their 500 million person community will often give quite loud feedback when they try to change some of the settings. I forget exactly the specifics, but it was one of the security settings that was allowing people, the default was to share everything, as opposed to the default being, hey, I'll decide what we're going to share and what we aren't going to share. But I do think that I think Apple's got it right when it comes to this, because unfortunately many users out there don't understand the sophistication of what's being tracked, and better to give the user the understanding and start with the kind of the restricted setting, and then let the customers, they become more knowledgeable and enter into the market, really have the opportunity to take advantage of those things as they choose.
That's right. It's a cliche, but a lot of these businesses should be erring on the side of caution and letting users be completely secure before they take those first tentative few steps outside of that bubble.
Absolutely. Well, great. Thanks for sitting in today, Adam.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching this latest version of 9 Technology TV. Thanks a lot, and look forward to future episodes.